get started. Good afternoon, Long Beach. For those who don't know me, Jeremy Harris, President and CEO with the Long Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, and this is our monthly membership luncheon / meeting. Typically when we're in person, we're at Parker's Lighthouse. Thank you to them for continuing to sponsor and support us for these events, and particularly this meeting, but also our organization, along with Primal Alchemy. They've just been wonderful partners through all of our virtual meetings, and especially for Good Afternoon Long Beach. More on them in a little bit. And again, thanks to all of you for taking some time. Our first Good Afternoon Long Beach of the new year. I'd love to say Happy New Year to all of you. I know I'm probably sharing a lot with a lot of the sentiments here on the call that, after we got through a harsh, to say the least, 2020, we were definitely looking forward to a wonderful 2021 and full of recovery, getting back to whatever that new normal was going to look like. And then we had last week's events. So just I'll just say it, a horrific time to start off a new year. But to all of you that are on this call and to all of our members, know that we are doing everything we can to ensure business continues to remain positive, assisting you where you need help. Please use this as a resource, whether it's based on what took place, of course, last week, or moving your company and your organization forward. We're here for you. With that being said, we'll dive right into our program. We've got a wonderful lineup, and if you've been with us previously over the years, you know that we like to try to kick off 2021 or a new year with some positivity, but at the same time, some reality. And what I mean by that is new year, new laws always come forward. And our program today, we're going to get into what some of those new laws look like and what you need to be paying attention to in order to ensure your business can continue to move forward here in 2021. A couple of items of note, and we'll get into some more detail, and our wonderful team from the Chamber will talk a little bit more about some of our upcoming program. But I do want to highlight and just really encourage those of you who have been following the federal stimulus package, round two of the PPP, some other perks and benefits that are coming out as well. That is live for some as of yesterday, and it'll be live to apply for many in the days to come. But we are doing a webinar, kind of a best practice how-to, if you will. If you've secured a PPP in the past, so what does it look like for your second draw if you're going after that, or you didn't apply last year and you want to know more and how you can. We're holding that webinar tomorrow afternoon. You can still sign up for that. It's free to our members. So really encourage you to take a look at that. And we'll have some more in the near future, because we know this will be a rolling out of the program, and there'll be many, many questions. So we're here to help with that. And then the last thing I want to say before we turn it over to Natalie, who will introduce our speakers. Judy took a little bit of my thunder, but that's okay, because that's allowed. It's Judy. But I did want to say a special congrats to Leslie Smith, who is on the call with us and publishing her book, a very easy to read guide. And it's marketing 101 to, if you just want a refresher, would encourage you to take a look at that, and it's for sale now. So other members out there, if you publish a book, come find me and we'll hype you up as well. But really proud of Leslie and what she's accomplished there with that. So with that being said, I will turn it on over to Natalie to get the program going. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeremy. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Natalie Layton, and I'm the VP of Membership for the Long Beach Area Chamber. I am very happy that a lot of familiar faces are on this call, so hopefully you all know me. I am going to introduce our speaker today, but before I do, I want to point out that this event is being recorded, and make sure that you change your name to reflect your business, and be sure to mute yourself while you're not speaking. And if anyone has any questions throughout the presentation, please go ahead and throw them in the chat box, and Patrick can address them at the end. And make sure that you stick around for the whole event and have a 30-second elevator pitch ready, because we'll be we'll be going around the virtual room, if you will, and you have an opportunity to share your business and what you're working on. And at the very end, you will also have a chance to win a $50 gift card from Parker's Lighthouse or a dinner for 4 from Primal Alchemy, our wonderful sponsors today. Thank you both so much. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker, Patrick Gangatano. Patrick Gangatano of Gangatano Law PC represents businesses and individuals in employment law, business disputes, and advises employers on HR issues. Before forming Gangatano Law in 2020, Pat was a partner at a boutique civil litigation firm in Long Beach, where he spent 7 years handling employment and business disputes for local businesses and individual employees. Prior to which, his practice was devoted to the defense of workers' compensations claims. Pat is an incredibly active member in the greater Long Beach community and has been selected to the Southern California Super Lawyers Rising Stars, mouthful, I love it, list for 2 years in a row. Pat earned both his JD and MBA from Chapman University. So thank you so much for joining us, Patrick. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so you can take over and take us away.
All right. Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to everybody at the Chamber and everybody tuning in here. I'm going to share my screen, and I've got a few slides. I'm going to be addressing the new California laws that employers need to know about. Every year we get a new batch, and basically what it requires is everybody to think about where they're at with their current policies. If you've got employees now, think about how many employees. There are some thresholds to keep in mind that are going to apply to larger employers versus smaller employers. And we just want to make sure that you're compliant now, you can stay compliant, you can make the tweaks that you need to make going into 2021, and then put that back on the back burner and get back to doing the regular work of your businesses. So, as you just heard, I handle employment law and business dispute matters, represent a lot of small businesses, handling mainly HR type issues, wrongful terminations, employee leaves, discrimination issues, policy compliance, things like that, as well as business disputes, contract drafting, contract disputes, and keeping you compliant with all your wage and hour issues as well. As you can imagine, my last year has been devoted a lot of times to issues with either the PPP or COVID compliance, and just the general logistical issues of having everybody work from home and move their workforces remote. So changing times, a lot of interesting stuff that I'm sure all of you guys are experiencing now. Definitely trying to stay aware of all that. So some of the main legal updates we're going to talk about today, we do have a minimum wage increase. We've got COVID reporting requirements that are brand new. We've got coronavirus workers' comp implications that everybody needs to know about. We also have paid sick leave for coronavirus positive employees that have to do with the FFCRA. That actually expired. California added some new laws to fill in some gaps in the FFCRA. Those expired with that federal law, but we want to keep those on our radar for a couple of different reasons that I'm going to get into. Moving away from the COVID type issues, we have a very, very significant expansion of CFRA leave in California, which is your unpaid job protected medical leave. I think that for me is going to be the most significant thing to keep in mind and to take away from this program, and to talk about with your attorneys after you get out of here today. We also have some updates to AB 5, which is the ABC law addressing employees versus independent contractors that I'm sure all of you guys have seen in the news. And a couple of final ones here are the expansion of the right to use sick leave and expanded damages for whistleblower retaliation claims. So let's get into these. And as they mentioned at the beginning, I will be taking questions afterwards, and I'm happy to talk to any of you guys offline after the program as well. So first, we've got a minimum wage increase. I'm sure all of you, for your employees, have a payroll company that should already be on top of this, as we're already a couple weeks into January here. But just keep in mind that the minimum wages went up in California, and aside from the statewide minimums, we also have some local minimums that you should familiarize yourself with. Again, talk to your payroll companies. They should already be on top of this, but just good to have a heads up. Okay, COVID is always the news of the day, it seems. So let's get familiar with a couple of these new reporting requirements. AB 685 is in effect now, and it does a couple of things that employers are going to want to keep an eye on. The first is it allows Cal OSHA to come in and issue what's called an order prohibiting use, basically shutting down business operations if they don't feel that the safety guidelines are compliant with what they want for COVID. If it exposes workers to an imminent hazard. There used to be a 15-day notice requirement between when OSHA came in and made that determination and when they could actually shut you down. Now they could just shut you down immediately. We also have some written notice requirements that employers are going to need to be aware of. So essentially, if you get news that an employee has been exposed to coronavirus, you now need to provide this written notice to all employees that might have been exposed with them, that might have been working on site with them during their exposure period. So essentially the to-do list here for employers is going to be put a fill in the blank type notice together, where anytime you get a report, you're going to want to have that ready to fire off to all potentially exposed employees within the 1 business day limit that they give you here to give that report or to give that notice.
All right, Patrick?
Yes.
Your screen actually isn't switching, so we are still stuck on the first slide.
Oh. So as I'm scrolling through pages, you're not seeing anything different?
Yeah, we can only see the cover page.
Huh. I am seeing different pages, so let me see what's going on there. Technical difficulties. Give us a second here. Okay. So are you seeing me scrolling through now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay.
Once you click on the slide.
Yeah, let me try this one more time. And is it scrolling now?
No, it's just stuck
again
on that one that you have the cursor on.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just have this view because that's the only thing that seems to be working right now. All right, so here are your reporting requirements again. And sorry for the little smaller screen now, but this is better than just the cover page. So reports of a coronavirus case have to be reported to the other employees that might be exposed within 1 day. This is a little different than the reporting requirement for what they're calling an outbreak, which needs to be reported outside the business entity, so to the local health department. So outbreaks here are defined as 3 or more positive cases within 2 weeks among employees living in different households. These types of outbreaks, you need to report to the health department within 48 hours. So 1 single case, you've got to notify all employees. If it becomes an outbreak, 3 or more people within 2 weeks, then you've got to report outside to the health department. And a good resource for all of these reporting and response type issues for COVID is going to be your workers' comp insurer. They might have some good guidance for you and some great tips to walk you through this type of event. And speaking of workers' comp insurance as it relates to COVID, they had a rebuttable presumption in effect earlier this year that essentially if you got COVID and were working on site, the presumption would be that you could file this as a workers' compensation case and make the argument that you caught it at work because you were working on the job site. The presumption was rebuttable, so the employer has the opportunity to come back and say that their safety precautions were were adequate and that they could take this out of the workers' comp realm. But that provision expired. Now California has brought it back, and they're keeping it around until the end of 2022. So we're going to just need to live with this for a while. The fact that any of your employees that are working on site, whether they catch it at work or someplace else, they're probably going to be able to make the argument that they caught it at work. And that's just going to be a fight that needs to be had in workers' comp court or with your workers' comp insurer. A couple of guidelines on that. They must test positive within 14 days of working on site, and the positive test must occur during an outbreak. So outbreak here is defined a little bit differently than in the notice requirements that we were talking about on the last slide, and it goes by employee size. So 100 employees or less, 4 positive tests is going to be considered an outbreak. 100 employees or more, 4% of employees who are reporting to work physically. And again, the employer can dispute that rebuttable presumption that they caught it at work by making a showing of their safety precautions in place. So the FFCRA, the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, I talked about this a little bit at the top, and this is something we want to keep in mind. This was the provision of the federal rules that came into effect last spring, and it provided up to 2 weeks of paid sick time for people that either caught the virus or were being quarantined or were waiting to take a test. That expired at the end of December, but before it did, California issued its own set of regulations that kind of filled in some gaps with the FFCRA. The FFCRA only applied to smaller employers, 500 or fewer employees, and California expanded that to have its state regulations address 500 or more employees. So those bigger employers that weren't caught in FFCRA. And California drafted their provisions to expire either at the end of the year or when FFCRA expired. So right now, both of these are still expired. We haven't seen them renewed yet, but if FFCRA does get expanded again, if the federal government decides to re-up this program, we can assume California is going to want to do something similar. The other reason I say to keep it on your radar is that while this requirement is no longer there, it's not mandatory to give this 2 weeks paid sick leave, you can still voluntarily offer the paid sick leave to your employees and be eligible for a tax credit for those expenses. Talk to your tax people about how that all works, the mechanics of it, but you can take advantage of that tax credit if you want to continue to give this type of leave through March of 2021. So a few more months on that opportunity there. And I included some links and info here on the FFCRA, the mandatory poster that you want to keep up if you want to offer that program through March. Okay, so moving away from coronavirus, but staying on the medical issues, we have a huge expansion of the CFRA that has just been implemented in California. So the CFRA is the California Family Rights Act. It's essentially the state version of FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act. This used to apply to employers with 50 employees or more. Smaller employees didn't have to worry about it. And the general idea of the Leave Act is that it offers employees unpaid time off to deal with medical leave, generally 12 weeks in a 12-month period. Not paid, but it is job protected. So you can't terminate people while they're on that leave. You can't retaliate against them for taking the leave. Again, smaller employers didn't used to have to worry about this. Now they do. The act has been expanded to apply to everyone with 5 or more employees. So that's going to cover a lot more ground than it did before. What I would say to the smaller employers out there is take a look at your handbooks and your policies now. You most likely didn't have this type of leave in your policies before this. Now you've got to take a look at that, see what you're required to do when you get these type of leave requests from your employees, and add those provisions to your handbooks and your policies that you're working with now. It also kind of supersedes and makes obsolete the New Parents Leave Act. That was an expansion of the CFRA to apply to employees with 20 or employers with 20 or more employees. So now that we've dropped the number of minimum employees all the way down to 5, no longer necessary to have that new Parent Leave Act. But you get the same type of benefits, the same type of unpaid job protected leave. A couple little details to just keep on your radar. Again, 12 weeks of unpaid job protected leave for approved medical issues, including family medical issues, so not the employee directly having health issues, but their family as well. It includes bonding time to bond with a new child. If both parents are employees, each parent now gets 12 weeks. It used to run concurrently, kind of an either or. Now it's both parents can each get their own 12 weeks. And the parents used to share it again. So to me, for 2021, this is the biggest change that is going to really affect a lot of businesses that didn't have to worry about CFRA at all before. Again, it's unpaid, so cost-wise, it's not as big of a deal, but you still have to keep your business running. If you have 6 employees and one of them is going to be gone for 3 months, obviously that puts a hitch into things. So we'll just talk to your HR people and your employment attorneys and make sure you get those contingency plans in place for when this comes up. Okay, moving off the medical issues for a while, we've got Prop 22 and AB 5 issues next. So Prop 22 was all over the news. I'm sure you guys saw the gig worker, the Uber and Lyft driver prop that was in the last election cycle. That did pass, so those workers are carved out from AB 5 and the ABC test. They're not going to become employees of Uber and Lyft and those other apps. They're going to remain independent contractors, but the prop did give them some additional protections that they didn't have before. So essentially those drivers now, while they're engaged in the app, while they're driving, are entitled to 120% of minimum wage. They also have some insurance issues addressed for them. They've got the insurance stipend if you're working over 15 hours per week. And again, this is largely symbolic, I think, as a rejection of the strict application of that ABC test. The ABC test has come under fire from all sorts of industries and employers as just being, not really realistic or beneficial the way that it was initially written. So we keep seeing tweaks to that, and I'm sure we're gonna see more. So this was the big headline grabbing one, and we've got some others as well, some other AB5 exemptions. So for those of you lucky enough to not have had to worry about this headache of who's an employee and who's an independent contractor yet, the ABC test, it goes like this. In order to meet the requirements of calling somebody an independent contractor as opposed to employee, you have to show that they're A, free from control and direction of the hiring entity, so they're autonomous, doing their own thing. B, performing work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. This is what's been tripping up most industries. As an attorney, you couldn't hire another attorney to do a one-off project without the exception that they built into this rule. So they keep adding those types of exceptions and making it a little more workable for a lot of employers and industries. And C, the final prong here, the worker is customarily engaged in an independent business of the same nature as the work performed. So they're not only working for the hiring entity like an employee would be, they actually have their own business up and running doing the same type of work. So for these exceptions that they're giving us, they're saying you don't have to comply with the ABC test, which is very strict, very hard to meet. You can go back to the old test in California, which was under a case called Borrello. This was a balancing test. It was a list of 11 factors that it was a lot easier to make the argument that this person is not an employee, this person is an independent contractor, and you can get them classified the way you want. So some of these exemptions include, under this new provision, musicians, real estate appraisers, home inspectors, licensed landscape architects, and there are a lot more, not only in this new set of tweaks to the law, but in the law itself as it has existed in its previous iterations. So there's a lot of potential exposure here for liability for all types of industries. And it's worth it if you have people that you're calling independent contractors right now to kind of audit them while you're looking at this rule, and use your HR person or your employment attorney to help you really dial in. Are they going to meet the test? Are they going to be an independent contractor? Do we need to reclassify them as an employee? Or are there some changes we can make to the relationship that would make it a little more safe to call them an independent contractor, so that you don't have to bring them on payroll? Because a lot of employers don't want to bring another person on payroll, and a lot of these independent contractors don't want to be on anybody's payroll. They want to keep the relationship what it is. But it is very, very industry specific, very, very fact dependent anytime you get into these exemptions. So worth taking a very close look at that if you're using independent contractors now. Some other exemptions that they tweaked or created with this new batch of new language: freelance writers, photojournalists, and a few others. So like I said, whatever industry you're in, if you're relying on independent contractors, take a very close look at this, because there's potential exposure for minimum wage violations, wage statement violations, meal and rest breaks, overtime. The list goes on. Workers' comp is probably the biggest one, but you can be getting yourself in a lot of trouble without even knowing it. Okay, the next big change this year, and this is probably not going to be on a lot of people's radars now, but I think there are a lot of plaintiffs' employment attorneys whose ears perked up when they heard this: expanded retaliation protection. So whistleblower law in California, essentially. Employees who are retaliated against after making complaints of violations of law or regulations are entitled to damages. That's how it was previously, including lost wages, that being the biggest category of damages they were able to recover. You couldn't recover attorney's fees until this AB 1947. Now you can add attorney's fees to the damages for these retaliation claims. And anybody who's been through this type of lawsuit before will tell you that can easily turn into the tail wagging the dog, where a plaintiff's attorney is racking up attorney's fees, and those damages pile on to the number that the employer might be on the hook for. And we're not just talking about lost wages anymore, but we're also talking about a huge legal bill that just totally changes the shape of the dispute and the amount of exposure. So, like I said, probably not something anybody thinks of before they get into this type of case, but it's definitely something that every attorney doing this type of work is going to be very, very tuned into. Okay, we've got mandatory sick leave in California as of a few years back. Everybody has got to get the mandatory minimum of 3 days per year paid sick time. It used to be that you could only use half of that to care for a sick family member. And this new law, AB 2017, changes that so that you could use all of your paid sick time to care for a family member. So if you get those types of requests, realize that this has been addressed and that is permissible now. All right, just a couple more here. SB 973, larger employers are going to want to be thinking about this one. This is 100 employees or more are now going to be expected to submit a paid data report to the DFEH. This doesn't go into effect until March 31st, or the report isn't due until March 31st of 2021. So you've got some time to put this together, but it is a pretty detailed report, and you're going to want to start thinking about it before that deadline hits you. So essentially, you're going to have to report the wage and demographic info for your employees, including race, ethnicity, gender, along with the amount of hours they work and the amount they're paid. So the purpose of all this is that these reports are going to allow the government to assess whether these employees' earnings fall within the statistical block that they should fall into. If they find that employees are earning less than maybe they should be based on their position and their demographic info, then there might be some compliance issues that the employer will have to deal with. Again, that March 31st deadline is not until 2021, but the DFEH has the authority to order compliance if you don't provide the report, and slap you with some costs there if you don't provide the report, and they need to come get it from you. So those are the big ones that I wanted to highlight. Obviously, there are a ton of smaller changes and tweaks to laws that affect very specific industries. So that's not a comprehensive look at everything that they passed this year, but those are the big ones that are going to be the most broadly applied. So taking all that into consideration, what do I recommend? Have an attorney review your current employee policies and update your employee handbook. There are plenty of businesses who don't have a handbook, or who had a handbook designed in 1998 and just assume that's still compliant. Every year or two, you want to look at that thing and get it back up to speed, because these laws change fast, and they can change pretty drastically. So we don't want to be playing by the old rules and getting ourselves into trouble for no reason. Specific ones to look out for this year, obviously, are the COVID protocols. Keep in mind those reporting requirements that we went through, sick leave eligibility, and CFRA eligibility. So the big sweet spot here being those employers of 5 to 49 employees who weren't affected by CFRA before, now need to get themselves familiarized with that and put the written policies in place to make sure that that's going to go smooth when the time comes. That's going to be for any extended medical leave for your employees, for their families, and for baby bonding situations. You're also going to want to look at your independent contractor classifications. Make sure that those line up with the AB5 rules, which are, again, ever changing. And we've got, I don't know if this is the third or fourth iteration of it now that we're looking at with these newest changes. And again, use your resources that you already have, your payroll company, your workers' comp insurance companies, and see how much they can help you get to where you need to be with compliance. And use the government resources that are out there as well. There's something now called the California COVID-19 Employer Playbook that I've linked here. And this is a good starting point for what do I do if somebody has COVID, if there's an outbreak, if, all of these different situations that people cross their fingers and hope aren't going to come up, but you want to be ready when they do. So these are, so this is what I would say to address with your employers, with your HR people, with your insurance company, with obviously your employment attorneys. And here's my contact info. I'm happy to talk to anybody about any of this. And I appreciate the time to present all this to you guys. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can take a look at any questions you might have.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Patrick. It looks like we
thank you
do
very much.
have, thank you for joining us. It looks like we do have a few questions. The first being, where's the best place to find industry-specific information?
On AB5, you could actually just Google the text of AB5. It's long. It's going to put you to sleep, but they do a pretty good job of breaking it out into different industries and saying what standard applies. So again, you're going to look at your industry and want to know, is it the ABC test, that very strict one that's kind of screwing everybody up now? Or is it the old Borello test? Or have they implemented a whole new standard for your specific industry? Again, that stuff is so specific. I wouldn't rely on a quick Google search to just assume you're safe after that. You could start there and then definitely talk to an employment attorney.
Perfect. And it looks like the next question is kind of tied into the first one, where on the web is the best details on AB5? You just suggest looking it up, just the text, I mean.
Yeah, you can find the text. There are 100 different attorneys and industry groups doing articles about it. It's been in the headlines since it came out over a year ago now. So there are resources to just get your head around it from a general point of view. And then again, you're going to want to do a specific audit for the contractors that you're working with to make sure that you're compliant with that.
Perfect. And last one, and again, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, but it looks like should everyone, Should every small business have an employee handbook? For example, 5 or more employees, should they have one? Any guidance on the size of the business in your opinion?
Yeah, I always recommend that everybody has an employee handbook. There are a few areas of compliance where you actually do need a written policy on certain things. And there are a lot of other areas of policy where you just have such an opportunity to have the handbook in writing and steer the policy in a way that's going to help your business, and just protect it in certain ways and set the stage in certain ways that's much better than not having any policy at all. So big clear example is mandatory sick leave. You have to have a minimum of 3 days, but you can only have that be you can only get down to that minimum with a written policy. If you don't have that written policy in place, then it accrues at a much faster rate, and you can end up giving people over 8 days per year, unnecessarily, really. All you're missing there is the written policy. So there are a lot of examples like that where you've got a fork in the road. You can handle a certain situation 2 ways, and why not take the opportunity and pick which way you want to go in any of those situations, especially now with this CFRA leave. Employers that have been through this will tell you that medical leaves and disability discrimination claims are very, very hard to navigate, especially without a written policy and especially without some help from an HR person or an employment attorney. So, driving those roads without a map is always going to be a bigger risk, and it's just worth having something in place.
Perfect. I don't see any other questions coming through, so I'm going to go ahead and go down the list and start our elevator pitches. As a reminder, you have 30 seconds to give your best elevator pitch. I apologize in advance. I will cut you off if you go past the 30 seconds, so please don't be upset about that, but we are just under a time crunch. So I know you were just speaking for a long time, Patrick, but I am going to throw it over to you first for your best 30-second elevator pitch for us.
So I am Patrick Gangitano Law here in downtown Seal Beach, and I am essentially your in-house counsel if you don't have an in-house counsel, and your in-house HR advisor if you don't have an in-house HR advisor. A lot of my small business clients just keep me on retainer, and when something funky comes up, like a request for employee leave, or they need to fire somebody, or somebody's just resigned, or any one of these kind of sky is falling things that they don't run into every day, that's what I'm here for, to help people out with that, in addition to drafting employment contracts and handbooks and severance agreements and anything else you could think of. So Patrick Gangitano Law, happy to be here, guys.
Thank you. Now, Steve with Optimum Seismic, excuse me.
Hi, I'm Steve Soto from Optimum Seismic. We're a seismic retrofit company. We retrofit buildings for earthquakes. We retrofit commercial buildings. We've done bridges in Northern California, and we mainly do residential. The underground parking is very significant for us. It creates a lot of problems in earthquakes. So we're the oldest in California and the largest in California, and we do everything in-house. So Optimum Seismic.
Thank you. Oscar?
Happy New Year, everyone. Oscar Velasco with LBS Financial Credit Union. Hope everyone's New Year's off to a good year. Long Beach LBS Financial Credit Union, local credit union serving the community for over 85 years now. We just celebrated our 85th anniversary last year. So if you're looking for a credit union, thinking about joining one, reach out to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Aiden Miller?
I'm Aiden Miller. I'm CPA. I just started my own CPA practice. Just want to wish everyone a happy new year. I do individuals, their individuals, entities, and I do a little cash planning as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber?
Hello, everyone. I'm Amber Matt. I'm a business development officer with Wells Fargo here in Long Beach. I help small businesses meet their financial goals with a focus on commercial lending and small business financing and really anything that a small business could need for a bank. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we have Brian.
Hello, my name is Brian Tadamy, and I work for Rise Up For You, and we're an educational, motivational company, and we focus on building everyone's people skills and diversity training and career confidence. And the big thing that we're really working on also is emotional intelligence. And with everything happening with COVID, one of the things that we're really seeing is confidence is a big challenge for most employees, because they're not only dealing with work, but they're also being a teacher at home with their kids. So I'll make sure to send out a free emotional kit that you can download and take a little test and see how you're doing.
Thank you. Atira?
Hey, good afternoon, Long Beach. My name is Atira Rodriguez, and I'm here representing Studio LBP, your best resource in the city for promoting your business or your event. We have two publications, the Long Beach Post, which URL is lbpost.com, and that is an all digital resource, the #1 news outlet in the city, as well as the Long Beach Business Journal, which we publish in print as well as digital, lbbj.com.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, Karen Desai with International City Theater, celebrating our 36th year. And the season this year is a season of family, friends, fun, and food. And hope to start rehearsal in 2 weeks for our first production of the season, which will be a Zoom production until we're safe to gather. We have also normally 6 education programs we do for the community, and we're working to find ways to convert many of them to virtual platforms so that we can continue to serve, engage our community, and keep lifting our spirits. We need it more than ever. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you. Dan?
Happy New Year, everybody. Dan Lipton, publisher of Travel Host Beach Cities magazine, and which connects locals and travelers to the best places to dine, shop, play, and stay. We'll publish again as soon as the outdoor dining restrictions are lifted. And you can follow us on Instagram at THBC_magazine, where we promote a lot of things on social media on behalf of our clients and local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Dana?
Hi, I'm Dana Buchanan with Primal Alchemy Catering and Events and Provisions. We still have our online ordering for home meals. We can deliver or pick up. We have a special menu coming up. We call it Super Binge. It's for Super Bowl Sunday weekend. Either you can watch the Super Bowl with our food, or you can binge watch Netflix. And it's a whole bunch of healthy food that's really not so much, but really tasty and good because, you know, binge. And then we have a Valentine's menu coming up that's really, really gourmet, multi-course, really fun, that serves 2. We also have box meals for meetings. We've been delivering for board meetings around town for people that want to get online together. And soon we have subscription meal service for healthy individual servings of healthy meals. You can subscribe by the month. That's it.
Thank you. Gina?
Hi, everyone. I'm Gina Gillen with Pediatric Therapy Network. We're a nonprofit in Torrance and Long Beach, and we provide early intervention and therapeutic services for children with special needs. So we're there to help them with their first words, their first steps, making their first friends, and everything they need to make them successful in life.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
Good afternoon. Great presentation, Patrick. Good to see you. My name is Jeff Hakeem. I'm a commercial real estate broker. My company is Centric Partners. We represent businesses across Southern California, helping them to lease and or purchase office space, retail space, industrial property. Good to see everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Jesse?
Hi, everyone. I was just pulling up all of the things I was going to say. From the California Conference for Equality and Justice. We are a nonprofit here in Long Beach. We serve all of Southern California by providing education and training on our mission to eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism. The thing I'm going to drop into the chat is an invitation to all of you to attend our upcoming annual Interfaith Intercultural Breakfast. It's our 30th year. Some of you may have been in the past to the Long Beach Convention Center. We are sadly doing it online, but really it's going to be an awesome opportunity. You don't have to leave your home, but you can join us for a morning fill of fellowship, but also learning more about how to activate all of our racial justice skills this year. Please join us.
Thank you. Mega?
Hi folks, my name is Mega Jewel and I am a storyteller. There's a lot of noise lately, it's a lot of stress, but my team and I were fellow former broadcast journalists and we tell stories through data, through authentic relationships. So that means PR, communications as far as social media or marketing. So if there's any guidance that you need, I'm here to support. Again, my name is Mega Jewel. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren?
Hi, I'm Lauren Osborne with TLD Law. We're a full service law firm based in Long Beach, and we're excited to be celebrating 60 years in business this year. So we help individuals with estate planning, and we also have quite a number of attorneys that work with businesses, everything from business litigation to setting up a corporation. So glad to be here today. Thanks.
Thank you. Nick?
Hi, everyone. Nick Burrow. I work with Rodriguez Strategies. We are a boutique public affairs firm based in Los Angeles, focusing on issue advocacy and coalition building, really trying to get more to the nitty-gritty of local politics and different policies that are taking place, especially in Long Beach. So happy to be here. And Patrick, great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chris?
Have to unmute. Hi, I'm Chris Gregson, owner of GK Media, and today I want to highlight my social media, Long Beach Stuff. It's a very active social media involved in the community, and we like to highlight small businesses on it. I will drop a link in chat to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Leslie?
Hello, everybody. I'm Leslie Smith with McCormick LA Public Relations, and Judy and Jeremy, thank you for the nice mention. So what they're talking about is this little 50-page handbook with pictures, there's cartoons, there's downloadable forms in it. It's super easy. It was definitely arguably the simplest marketing guidebook you will find. So if you are a small business, whether you're brand new or you've been in it for a while and you find out something's not quite working, I'd highly recommend you download this now from Amazon. It's only $4.99. So thank you very much. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Tina?
Hi, my name is Tina Sujak. I am with TS Accounting and Tax Consulting. I'm an accountant for 11 years and serving business owners and working with CPAs to organize business transactions and receipts in a very efficient platform so that they can use the report for their own business performance and also preparing for the income tax return. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And now on to staff. Marilyn, do you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Marilyn Singer. I'm the membership coordinator for the chamber. So if you're a chamber member and you need any help navigating your membership portal, or if you have any questions on membership benefits, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy?
Hi, everybody. I am responsible for 3 great committees, the International Business Association, Small Business Council, and Women's Business Council. Each one of those are in the process of putting together some really exciting programs for this coming year, so stay tuned.
Thank you. Amanda?
Hi, everyone. Amanda Donahue with the Long Beach Chamber. I am our Special Events Manager and Executive Assistant to the President and CEO. So if you ever have any questions regarding our upcoming programming, as far as networking events or webinars, I'm the person to reach out to. Thank you.
Thank you. And our fearless leader, Jeremy?
Natalie. I got one fan. All right, great. No, appreciate many of you have been members for a long time and friends even longer. And thanks for joining us to kick off our 2021 year. And those that might have missed it earlier, I'm our president and CEO. I took over last year, July 1, and been with the chamber now going on 8 years. One thing at the top of this, welcome to 2021 broadcast, if you will, and I totally missed it. It was highlighted, circled, underlined, bolden, in my notes here, is that we, the chamber, will be celebrating 130 years this year as an organization. Founded in 1891 as a board and trade. We are one of the longest established organizations, not just in Long Beach, but in the region and in the state, especially when it comes to fighting for business and sticking up for our members. So more to come on our celebration. It'll probably culminate in our annual gala that happens typically around the summertime or the beginning of the summer, but we'll be doing some programming around that throughout the year. But wanted to throw that out there, and thanks again for all joining us today at our first Good Afternoon Long Beach of the year.
Thank you. And I believe I got anyone. I didn't miss anyone, did I? I think I went around the room. Perfect. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that we do have several new members joining us. So Patrick being one of them, and looks like Mega and Rodriguez Strategies and Aiden Miller. Welcome to the chamber. We're so glad to have you, and thank you for joining us today. Now I do have the winners of our door prizes. So Brian, you will be going home with a $50 Parker's Lighthouse gift card. And Leslie, you will be getting a dinner for 4 from Primal Alchemy. So thank you so much to our sponsors, and congratulations. I am going to hand it over to Amanda so she can let you guys know what upcoming events we have before we sign off.
Yes, thank you, Natalie. So tomorrow, Wednesday, January 13th at 2 p.m., we'll be having a joint webinar with American Lending Center on the SBA's Paycheck Protection Program update, getting ready for the next round. We will also be continuing our joint DeVry webinar series this Thursday, January 14th at 10 a.m. on building your career framework. These webinars are presented by the Center Dean Laura Knapp and take place once a week for the month of January and February. They focus on career development and professional growth that can be beneficial for everyone that's joined today. Lastly, the Long Beach Young Professionals Networking Breakfast will take place on Tuesday, January 26th at 9:15 a.m. with featured speaker Mark McGraw, who is the CEO of Sales Engine LLC and Sandler Training. So all of these programs are free for our membership, and I will place the link one more time just so it's at the bottom of the chat box. And back over to you, Natalie.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us for another Good Afternoon Long Beach. We will see you next month on the 9th of February for another one. Same time, same place. Thank you again.